Welcome! It's Tuesday night. It's time for Deep in the Plus. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. If you have not already subscribed to Unplanned Downtime, please do so right now. We really would appreciate that. And if you could give us a big thumbs up, it'll help people to find the show. Tonight, we're going to be reviewing, it's almost Mardi Gras time, so it's time to throw out the beads with my good friend, Eric Wolf. How are you, buddy?
Good. How are you? I'm excited. Mardi Gras is pretty cool. I've never been. Universal, but
no, we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about Bruno. Not going to talk about Universal. We're going to talk about The Princess and the Frog. You know what? This is a movie that I know that you love. I love this movie. When my daughter was little, this was like her favorite movie. And it's just, it has so much good going for it. We talked about doing it during Black History Month. We also talked about the fact that, like, you got Mardi Gras because it takes place in New Orleans. So these two things collide in a beautiful time for us to talk about this. And, just before we get started, I know that you've kind of cosplayed as DrFacilier before. Before we get started, what is it about this movie that means so much to you?
Woo! All right. So I personally connected with this movie in a different way. So obviously Tiana, DrFacilier, it's a very big representation of African Americans in the Disney community, because this was the first Disney animated African American princess. But that's kind of like beyond that for me. Like, I'm not African American. I'm Hispanic. I'm from Cuba. My family's from Cuba. But this was honestly the first time that I saw myself in characters in a Disney movie. Like, I love Disney so much. So for this to be honestly like the first time that I was like, hey, that character looks like me. Obviously, I'm a little heavier than DrFacilier, but I was like, man, that's cool to be able to see that in a Disney movie. So honestly, that spoke just tremendous amounts for me. And we're not talking about it right now, but Encanto was another thing for me as well, that it's like, yeah, and Coco, and it's like, yeah, like, I'm Latin, these Latin representations are happening, which then give us more, like, for me personally, give me more of a cultural connection to these characters. But Princess and the Frog for sure was a physical thing for me, and I think cultural and physical representation is huge and should be important. So I applaud Disney for doing it, and I hope to see more from Disney in the future with African American, with Latinx communities, with just different communities to be represented, because Encanto did a great job. There's so many different variations of color in Encanto, and they're all Colombian. But there's different people around the world that just were represented in that one movie because the characters looked like them. And that's important. And that's important for, like, kids, and that's important for adults. So, yeah.
Yeah, you know what? And it also gives us different stories, right? It's not the same story. When you start getting into cultures, you're getting different stories. You're getting, it's immersion into that culture too. So to me, it's opening more doors. It's representing more people. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I hope this doesn't embarrass you, but I'm going to pull up your Instagram real quick. This pic of you killing it in as DrFacilier, I think, is kind of awesome.
Thank you.
And you know what? Nothing will, though, outdo the zombie outfit that you did for zombies when we reviewed that, my friend. So I assume that's why you're playing it cool tonight and just have the DrFacilier T-shirt on to represent. Yep, very cool. Let's talk a little bit about where this movie falls. This was, I believe, the 49th full-length animated feature for Disney. It was in 2009 that this came out. And this movie was a return to hand-drawn animation. The the Home on the Range movie was like the last one that they did hand-drawn that came into computer-generated with Meet the Robinsons and Chicken Little and Bolt. And then they said, you know, John Lasseter was the head of the studio at the time. He's like, let's get back to hand-drawn animation, what Disney was known for. And I think, to me, that was a big deal too, that this movie had that kind of heart, you know, that you get out of hand-drawn animation. Think it was the perfect movie to do that with, and they put it together, and you know, it did okay at the box office. That was the disappointment. I think that they expected it to do huge things, and domestically, I think the box office, the budget on it was right around 100 million. Domestically, it did right about 100 million. Then I don't know if they chalked it up to that being the problem, but they did one more movie, hand-drawn, which was Winnie the Pooh. And then since then, we've never looked back. Do you see a difference, or do you feel a difference when you see a hand-drawn animated movie? Do you feel like, hey, this is done with more care, or do you? I mean, I know you're a Pixar fan, so I know that's a kind of a hard line to walk because that's all computer generated. But do you have an opinion on that one?
Honestly, like, I think it's because of the fact that it is the Walt Disney Company, and the Walt Disney Company gave it to us. You know, like full-length animated movies started with the Walt Disney Company. So it was something special to be able to see that once again, when it was very much like you said, when they said that they were going in one direction, and it was like, oh man, we're actually gonna be just like leaving this, like it's such a weird thing. And yeah, like since then the Walt Disney Company likes to come out and say like, oh, it's the same thing, like animators still get to animate like on the computer, now it's digital kind of thing. But yeah, like I personally, as much as I love Pixar, I personally have a soft spot for hand-drawn 2D animation. Especially like it's interesting because there's some 2D animated movies that used 3D animation for like backgrounds and stuff like that, and they were able to blend it really well. But still, that 2D animation charm was there, which I think is cool.
I believe this is probably a blended scene, but this is one of my favorite visuals from the movie, is her standing on this porch and wishing on the evening star, and just the clouds. And again, there's probably a good deal of this, whether it's the house, the tree, the clouds, the sky, that is computer generated, but it's so seamless, like you were talking about. It's such a blend. And you know that she's down there being like, you know, the hand-drawn animation. I love that scene. I mean, it to me is an amazing visual, and I think I used it on the thumbnail, a piece of it. Those blues, the whole thing, it blows me away. So I think visually this movie is stunning. There's a lot of stuff in the swamp, you know, with when the fireflies come out and all that. But of course, I'm getting ahead of myself. So this was based on the novel The Frog Princess, which was based on the novel The Frog Prince. I don't know if you looked that up or not, but that was a little bit kind of crazy. You know, and it takes place in America, where, I mean, Pocahontas, technically, I guess, you know, that takes place in America just in our history, but most of these movies that we see, 101 Dalmatians, Aristocats, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, all take place overseas. So it's nice to see something again that we can kind of relate to. And there's such a culture, fantastic culture in New Orleans with Cajun and Mardi Gras and Mufalata and Po' Boy and King Cake and all those things that it's a neat thing to place it there, of all places. I mean, have you been to New Orleans? Do you know much about the area?
No, I have not. All I know about New Orleans is that there's no mountains. That's all I know.
Which we'll talk about as we get further to the end. Speaking specifically of an attraction soon to come to Disney parks. So this was nominated for the Best Animated Picture. Do you know what it lost to? This is not a this is not a trivia question necessarily. I just am asking if you know what it lost to.
I don't.
It lost to Up.
Not off the top of my head.
Lost to Up.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then there was a movie I think called Crazy Heart that beat out for the best original song. and there were 2 songs from this that were nominated. So it was, you know, definitely kind of timing wise hit probably at the wrong time, because I love the music from this, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And I think that, you know, just overall it's kind of amazing. But when this thing first opens up, it's like little Lottie, who is Charlotte, who is like the little princess of the town, and Tiana are sitting and listening to Tiana's mom tell this story of the Frog Prince to the girls, and as she's making a dress, apparently another dress for this kind of spoiled little girl. What I do love about this relationship that Tiana and Lottie have is, even though Lottie is very self-centered and maybe spoiled, she's not a brat. Like, I don't think she is, right? So that's kind of cool that she's not a brat, and they truly seem like that they're great friends.
Correct. And honestly, we're talking about the beginning part of the movie, but there's a scene later on that honestly shows to me Lottie's character and what her friendship with Tiana really means to her, which I think is important, which is cool.
Yeah. Then we meet, like, you know, her mom takes her back to back home, and her dad's there, and she's helping her dad make gumbo. Which, by the way, I was talking about gumbo weirdly this week, and I don't know that I've ever like had gumbo. Maybe I have, but I'm not a huge seafood fan, so it's like a shrimp gumbo sort of a thing. But I love that dynamic when they're sitting there and they're making the gumbo, and then, you know, it's kind of like this moment where you realize what kind of family she's growing up in, a very supportive, loving family with her mom and her dad, and they all just get together and they have these, you know, they get together with her together in her room, and they talk about wishing on a star and wish as hard as you want, but, you know, the star will only get you but so far. I mean, it's this wisdom that she gets from her dad. And then they walk out of she runs out of the room because she sees a frog, you know, foreshadowing that spooks her. She runs out of the room, and then we see the title card, and then she comes back in. Actually, not title card yet, it's just Walt Disney Presents. She comes back in, and now she's grown up, so time has passed. This is not the Simba we get to watch as he, you know, transforms over time. This is, she walks out the door, she comes back in, she's grown up, she's in a waitress costume, she's exhausted. Do they call it a costume? Uniform. Anyway, so it's really neat storytelling, but it's very visual. You have to be watching all of these details that are happening as that's going on. And she has all these coffee cans that she has full of money, where she's saving up for her restaurant that's with her dad. Her dad's picture is there, so now we've learned that her dad died, I assume, at war. Wouldn't you say? Because it's him in a army uniform and like a Medal of Honor sitting there. Did you ever think about that, or am I?
I actually did not.
Come on, man, be there with me. No, I'm just kidding.
I actually did not.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, the first thing that strikes me is that as she's filling up all these jars, I feel like that drawer would definitely break.
Yeah.
No, maybe, because coffee jars full of pennies and quarters are very heavy. I don't know if you've ever experienced that or not. But here's a picture with her dad's medal and him in his outfit with the stars behind him. So that's what makes me assume that he died at war, but they don't really say. I'm just picking up the context clues, my friend. We'll take it from there.
That was good.
There's also a scene right after this where she is late for her next shift. So she gets in at like 5:59, and then she lays down the bed for like a half a second, and then she's got to get to another job because she works 2 jobs. And when she's on her way, we get our first Easter egg. Do you know what that is? I mean, you know what an Easter egg is. Do you know what the one is I'm talking about? Oh, wait.
No.
So on the front of the... the cable car she jumps on, it has A113, which of course is the Caltech the classroom where all the animators got their start, and so everything has A113 in it. But I was going to quiz you later on like what the trolley was that she got on with her mom in the beginning. It had 820 on it. There's no reason in the world you should know that, so I'm not going there. You're like, what the heck? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's really neat though because I've been to New Orleans to see like the cable cars going through and
Oh,
knowing,
nice.
yeah, knowing that this feels very representative of the area. So someday maybe you'll go. Maybe you'll check it out.
Yeah, I would
Um,
love to.
and at this point we're like 7 minutes into the movie and it's just still getting started. The music though is what kind of carries us through, and so I want to talk about the music a little bit. Do you have a favorite song?
Oh,
I'm gonna
friends
ask.
on the other side.
I was gonna say I'm gonna ask you to dig a little deeper, my friend.
I, I think friends on the other side would definitely be my like top, and then I love Evangeline. I love that song, and the song that Ray also sings with all his family. I forget the name of it right now. Um,
Yeah, that's
oh
everybody's
man,
favorite.
I can't forget the name. I can't remember the name. But yeah, I honestly love.
You're
I
talking
guess
about like
Jim
we're
Cummings singing.
going down the bayou. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, going
Okay.
down the bayou. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, right? There's a lot of good music in this. But you talked about Friends on the Other Side. There were some things from this, and we were talking about it before we came on. I was like, I can't get. There's this one bit with Ray, and if you guys don't know Ray, Ray's the little firefly, where he's like, "Ain't nobody gonna sing with Ray." Okay, and like for some reason that struck me as so funny, and I do it all the time, and no one gets what I'm doing. Just little things like that in here, and it's like Friends on the Other Side. I mean, I feel like I quote that constantly, but that
Right.
scene, and it's we've learned about Tiana. She learns that Prince Naveen is coming to town because Charlotte's excited she's going to get to meet a prince, and her dad, who is played by John Goodman, Big Daddy. Like that was another thing that was like, tell him, Big Daddy, tell him. That was one of those that, like, again, I quote for no particular reason. And who am I talking to when I say Big Daddy? I don't know. But when when that comes through, that you're getting in context clues. Okay, the prince is coming. We get to meet him in the streets a little bit. We find out that he doesn't really have any money, but everybody thinks, oh, he's a big rich prince, and Lottie's convinced she's going to marry him, so she wants Tiana to bring her man-catching beignets
Yes.
to the party. Dude, that would work on me. I mean, beignets are fantastic, whether it's at the French Quarter
Right.
in Disneyland or over at the French Quarter Hotel, or also Cafe Du Monde in New Orleans. I freaking love me some beignets. But it's also important to know that beignets have a timer on them. There was only a certain amount of time where they're okay.
Ah.
You can eat a donut about 2 days later and it may still be okay, but not a beignet. You got to eat that one
Ooh.
when they're hot and fresh. So you get those man-catching beignets that she's going to make, and that gives her enough money to get her restaurants off the ground. But during this whole process now, Naveen has run into the Shadow Man, DrFacilier, and
Yeah.
when he does, they go and they have this big scene, which is to me like Poor Unfortunate Souls. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
that's
Very much
kind of
so.
what this is, right? Because it's like, hey, you've come to make the deal with the devil, and
Mm-hmm.
the devil is ready for you and kind of coaxing you in the way that he wants to do, just like Poor
Yeah.
Unfortunate Souls. Same color schemes with the blue and the purple too. Like the whole thing just feels very Poor Unfortunate Souls. But this is my question to you, my friend, is this the most wicked, evil villain like song scene in all of Disney? I mean, it's come on.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think so, and I think that's why it like. I think that's why it's so good. It's because it's so different than what Disney has done in the past. Like, mind you, Maleficent and Hades, kind of thing, like really bad people, but like the whole song and the visuals and just him as like a character, it just brings it all together in such an amazing way. Yeah. Like
But
I would cross any other villain. I wouldn't want to cross Dr. Facilier.
look at the look on Lawrence's face though, where he's like, first of all, he looks like one of the Who's from Whoville. I mean, I think There are times when he looks like an ape, and there are times when he looks like a who. He's not a good-looking man. But when you see that evil grin on his face, you know that he's basically like he's excited about this deal that they're making. Naveen not so sure. I love that they have this character in the parks, by the way, but I don't think they ever do it justice. Like, I need to see like somewhere in the neighborhood of a leaner Terry Crews is what I'm looking for when I see this in the park. You know, somebody who's kind of like cut but still lean. That's what I need to, and big. This guy usually is represented by a very scrawny man in the park. I feel like anytime I've seen that. So I don't know, because he's so, like you said, he's like, you don't want to mess with this dude, and he's so menacing when you see him. So I don't know.
Gotta say, the costume that they have at the Disney parks, I think is really cool because of the gloves that they put on the actor that make his fingers and his hand just look so much bigger. I think that's so cool. The first time that I met him was actually at Disneyland, and that was cool. I was like, oh, you are creepy.
Yeah. Allison says in chat he looks like what's his face from Pinocchio in that scene. I guess the one that turns into the donkey.
Stromboli?
I think the one that turns into donkey, I think, is what she's saying. The
he
friend.
does.
Yeah, the friend. First, I was thinking Honest John and maybe DrFacilier, but that's not where she was going with that, I don't think. But yeah, I don't disagree.
I always thought Lawrence looked like the dude, like the sidekick, which is funny, the evil sidekick from Enchanted.
Okay. Yeah, no, I could see that. Yeah, absolutely, I see that too. But the deal is that they show you that Lawrence is being, I guess, kicked around by Naveen, and you know, Naveen's kind of having fun with him. I don't feel like he's really oppressing Lawrence. I guess Lawrence is his valet, but I don't know that they've given us enough reason for him to just get like as angry and hateful and as he is towards Naveen. But maybe, I mean, Naveen's got this very carefree attitude. He's apparently been cut off from his parents because he just, you know, he's a leech. And so I think maybe there's some history there, but I don't think they show us enough of that before. Is it like Lampwick or something like that? Allison says she's looking it up. Yeah, okay. Dannon, Dannon says Lampwick. Damon says Lampwick. Lampwick. There we go. I'm speaking English again. So
Lampwick.
Yeah, I could kind of see that. Anyway, so when we go back through this movie and we see that, that's the first thing that popped up to me was this is just the best villain. And I think that Keith David has the most amazing voice, and he always kind of does that. I don't know. I don't know that anybody else could have done this voice the way that he did, and he was kind of amazing. I think this thing is perfectly cast. Anika Noni Rose played Tiana and sang the voice of Tiana as well as the speaking voice of Tiana. Jennifer Lewis from Blackish that plays the grandma was Mama Odie. John Goodman was Big Daddy. Oprah Winfrey played Eudora. Apparently Emerald Lagasse was Marlin the Gator. Good to see that Emerald Lagasse somehow got into this thing. Yeah. And then Terrence Howard plays the dad, and Jim Cummings as Ray. Just an amazing job of Ray. Ray is such a good character. So to move on with this story, they've made this deal. They cut to this masquerade party where Tiana's selling her man-catching beignets or giving away the beignets, and Lottie hasn't seen her prince yet, and she's upset. And then she starts to run away, and then here comes Naveen around the corner. She gets all excited. She runs down the steps. That little comedic thing where she like runs down the steps in the spotlight is so funny. Like, she's kind of the comic relief in a lot of ways, which is great. And she runs down the steps, and she's there with them, and they dance. And then there's the scene where the Finner brothers, which we hate the Finner brothers, they're these two random dudes who have rented this place to Tiana, but she hasn't gotten the money yet, and she's going to give them the money and sign the paperwork, and they're like, oh, you've been outbid. We don't ever find out who she's been outbid by, do we?
We never find that out. I always thought it was just DrFacilier. I don't know why, but I just always thought that.
Because he's the worst?
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
yes.
I guess that's the case.
And he was in her job when she's talking about the fact that she's gonna get the restaurant when Lottie gives her the money and stuff. He was in there, so I guess I've always just like put one and one together for that.
Okay. I'll take it. So maybe that's the case, but the Fenner brothers are there as the front end and back end of a horse, which makes a lot of sense. But they're eating all her beignets, and they're very matter of fact about the fact that her entire dream is gone, but that's okay. She's a hard worker. She'll figure it out. Dennis Morrison in chat said, bastards. So yeah, and Lauren says that Keith David was also the voice in Gargoyles. Yeah, he was Goliath. So I mean, yeah, he's amazing. So voice cast amazing, music is amazing in this thing, and you've already got the makings of a perfect Disney movie, and now we have, of course, the romance that kicks off, right? So there's a romance, kind of the whole like Ross and Rachel, will they, won't they? We hate each other, but now we love each other, sort of a situation. Look it up, kids. Friends, Ross and Rachel was a TV show. Friends was a TV show. So when you go back into this and you watch it, and you can watch that relationship unfold, obviously they kind of hate each other at first because Tiana meets up with him she's gone upstairs to get dressed because when she had this kind of altercation with the Fenner brothers, Stella, their dog, like knocks over the table, and then Tiana's all messed up. Her clothes are messed up, so Lottie lets her borrow a dress and a tiara, and now she looks like a princess. What?
That was the point that I mentioned in the beginning. That like I think it's such a character moment for Lottie. The fact that we know what she wants. She wants a prince. She wants, this big, huge thing. She wants this big connection, and she finally gets it. But when she sees that Tiana is on the floor, like all tattered up and all messed up, she takes the time to help her. Like, it's not one of those things that's like, oh, Tia, you're fine. Like, you can go up to my room. No, like, she takes her time, and she actually goes with her to go, get change and all that. I actually, like, that's one of the things that I love about Lottie, because it's like, you see her, and it's like, oh, she's one of those characters, got it. But no, she did that, and I applaud that.
Yeah, for sure. So now they go out, she goes back to dance with who she thinks is Prince Naveen, and we don't really know any different at this point, right? So then the frog is on the side with on the porch with her, that scene I was showing you earlier, and she says, I suppose you want a kiss, and he goes, a kiss would be nice, yes. And it's then she gets freaked out and runs inside, and Bruno Campos just does really a great job with the voice of Prince Naveen, just coming off so, like, he's kind of likable, but he's kind of creepy at the same time. Like, he's kind of lecherous, but he's also kind of lovable. I mean, it's like he really hits that mark on that one pretty well. And so he convinces Tiana to give him a kiss, just like the Frog Prince book, but then she gets turned into a frog. I got to see a piece of this. This movie came out December 2009. We got to see a bit of it at D23 in 2009. As a matter of fact, they played too much of it, I think, because they played these long scenes. They played the whole opening scene, and then they played the whole scene with this kiss. And so, she's like, well, how did you get all the way up there? And how did I get all the way down here? And she looks at her hand, and then she turns to the mirror and she goes, ah! And then it blacked out. And they were like, okay, and it's coming to theaters December 10th. We're like, that looks good. Like, I mean, they really knew what they were doing and showing that stuff. So I really just, from the beginning was just in love with this. The animation, the look, the lore of the fact that it was hand-drawn returning, the voice actors, getting to hear Anika Nani Rose singing this in, you know, at D23 singing the songs. It
Oh, I
was just,
remember that.
yeah, it was so good. They really knew what they were doing, because they had a whole room full of Disney fans. They were like, "Oh, you know what? You guys love Disney stuff. Let me give you this like shot in the arm of like Disney cocaine, and you'll just like shoot up
Oh my gosh,
and
so
you'll be
good.
euphoric, and then you'll go out into the world and you'll share this, and everybody will come to the theaters and see it." Not everybody. Not everybody.
Eh.
And again, I think this is one that in a setting like Disney Plus really has a chance at a second/third life, because it really is one that you can sit down and watch with the whole family at any time. And it's a quick 97 minutes. Although when you're trying to cram for a show, sometimes it seems longer if you're trying to get it done before you go on and do a web show. So, you know, but it is a lot of fun. Let's talk about a couple other Easter eggs. They go from this point into, they've turned into frogs. They start to run. They run into, they get into these balloons and they fly off into the swamp, where they meet a lot of gators, but including Lewis, who, you know, Louis. It feels like it should be Louis, but it's Louis. And he does this bit that, as soon as I saw it, I was like, that has to be on purpose, because he was talking about Mama Odie and magic. And when he's talking about magic, it was like, is this you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. This scene right here.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, that could not be more on the, like, they really like did their homework on this one, didn't they? I mean, it's just
so good.
It is perfect. Oh man, I love this scene. Just a throwback to the sorcerer, the sword and the stone. So good.
So good, yeah.
Right. But like, there were a lot of little things like that, like when they're in the parade at the end and it looks like, oh, hey, look, it's King Triton. Isn't that nice? You know, that was a good one. And I think I had one more loaded up. Yes, in the very beginning, when you're seeing the streets of New Orleans, and this rug that she's beating out is clearly carpet from Aladdin. It's just so well done. You know, and the directors of this one are John Musker and Ron Clements, and so they had a lot to do with Aladdin specifically, but you know, they had a lot to do with Ariel and the Little Mermaid. So a lot of little throws are done to that. There's like a clamshell at some point that gets thrown into the snake's mouth in Mama Odie's. I don't know, man. It's like, again, this was the 49th animated feature for them, and so the 50th was Tangled, which we've already done a review of, but this seemed like it could have been, in a lot of ways, like everything that they've worked for all along, all rolled up into one, with the computer generated and the return to hand-drawn. This feels like it should have been the 50th. Is that weird?
I agree. No, I definitely agree. Especially with all the hidden stuff. I don't know. I kind of feel like there could have been more hidden things, like to different Disney animation movies. But yeah, no, I totally agree with you. This had the makings of being, you know, like a big thing, and kind of being like the pinnacle of 50, you know. But yeah, hey.
Yeah,
I like Tangled though.
So there's another scene where, when they finally meet Lewis, and they're going in and talking to him about, like, well, what is it you want, and what, you know, oh, you can play, you know, music. Why haven't you played with you know, with a band? And he's like, well, I tried that once. And they show him getting on the deck and playing with the band that's up there. And then they cut back to him and goes, it didn't go so good. And I was just like, again, it's just so funny. It's just so many like huge like comedy moments in this one. It just really feels kind of fun. Speaking of fun, I know you like trivia. I pulled aside some trivia questions for you because, again, you love this movie. You got to know these things, I would assume. So
let's see.
I feel like you and Desi take it personally when I do this. I
love it.
When I ask the questions, so you know, we'll see. But one of them I want to like kind of tee up as a visual gag in here and say, so when it starts, Tiana's mom is making dresses for Lottie because Lottie loves all these princess dresses, and she's just asked Big Daddy for another princess dress. And he looks at Eudora and says, Eudora, do you think you could whip up another one of, just like this? How many dresses does Eudora have behind her when that happens?
I'm going to say 5.
I'm going to give a beat here. But let me actually clear the way for you here. You ready? Are you ready?
Let's do it.
7.
7. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. All right. So there were 7 dresses, which again I love that bit, and I'm sure that some of them are homages to some of the other Disney princesses, but Dr. Facilier, your favorite, takes them back to his place when he gets Prince Naveen and Lawrence, and he takes them back to his place to talk business. What's the name of his place?
I want to say it's Emporium.
That's correct.
But
no, that's correct. You got it. Don't
right?
Don't go no further. Yeah. Yeah, it's Dr.
It's like the shape of a top hat, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's Dr. Facilier's Voodoo Emporium. And this is going to show it with like a little bit of fire in front of it, but yeah, there it is right there.
Yeah, there we go.
That's such a cool sign. Somebody should make a t-shirt for the Carousel of Products that has that on there, I think. I don't know. We probably couldn't get away with it, but that would be pretty neat. I don't know that you will know this. Tiana works nights at a restaurant and days at a restaurant. What are the names of the 2 restaurants?
I want to say one starts with an F, because isn't it is it not Floyd?
You do Wordle? No, I'm just kidding.
If we're working with Wordle,
if you're working with Wordle, that was neither yellow nor green.
Oh no! I have no idea.
So, Michael in chat has nailed it. She goes, goodbye cows, hello dukes. And then when they're in Dukes, Facilier has the menu up that says Dukes on it. So, yeah.
True.
Allison said it's Dukes and Butches. Close.
You see, because I think the oh my gosh, what's the cook's name?
I thought that was Duke. Is that not Duke?
No, I don't think his name is Duke. The one that makes fun of her? I don't think that was his name. Isn't.
Okay. You ready for the next one?
Yeah.
This one's going to be super hard, and so I don't think you will know it. When they get on the bus or the cable car, and when she's little, there's a man reading a newspaper. What does the headline say? Sorry, that's that's an unfair question, but
wishing upon stars.
No. There's an article on there about Great Gumbo Cook-Off, but the headline is Wilson elected. But I mean, they just make such a point of it, and I assume it's part of to tell you like this was during the era of Woodrow Wilson. But it says Wilson elected, so. Yeah, that was interesting. How old is Mama Odie?
A 107.
197.
Ugh.
Yeah, you were close though. Close though. Final question.
Okay.
This is for all the nothing, Eric.
Let's go.
It's for all the nothing. You ready? Eudora is Tiana's mom. What is her
James.
dad's name? Oh! Well done. Well done,
That one
sir.
I do know. That one I do know.
Did you? Because you looked it up ahead of time?
No, that one I did know. I was trying to look for the cook's name before when I told you that I was looking for names. And look at that, I even forgot the cook's name either way.
Well, there you go. Hopefully that one was a little bit more enjoyable. I thought the Cal and Dukes one you would get, though, because I thought that was kind of a big deal, at least the Dukes part. But no, hopefully you have fun. Hopefully everybody at home has fun doing that one, too. So then they're in the bayou, and these three, I guess they're hunters, come along. We don't like these guys. I don't know their names. I didn't try to learn their names. I think one's Paw. I don't know. One of them has two fingers that get split apart. It's just like it's so unnecessary. I feel like this scene, but it may be the scene where Naveen finally does a selfless act, where he goes and he puts himself in danger to try to save Tiana, and that may be the turning point of their relationship and the fact that he shows how much he cares for her. Do you agree? Or, I mean, again, when I first looked at the scene, I was like, why is this even in here?
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. We needed something, and I don't necessarily think it had to be like it's a big thing, but at the same time, not really. But I think it's in those small moments is where we see that he actually does care. So no, I definitely agree.
Yeah. So I'm looking back through trying to find the scene where they meet up with Ray finally is where Lewis has been leading them to Mama Odie, but you find out he's been going in the wrong direction. Do we think he's going in the wrong direction on purpose, or is it just because he has no sense of direction? Like, is he afraid? I'm just asking the question. Like, is he afraid of Mama Odie and that's why he does it?
I think so. I don't know. I kind of feel like, you know what? I kind of feel like he doesn't actually even know. It might just be like, ooh, these are the scary parts over here, so obviously she's over there, like kind of thing. Yeah. I don't think he might not even know.
So here's another beautiful scene from the movie that I love so much. It's when they meet up with Ray. Ray says, "You're going the wrong direction. Let me get my kinfolk to help you find the way." And here it is, and it's just a beautiful scene. And again, you know, a blend of hand drawn and probably computer animation. I assume all the fireflies are probably computer animated. But just really super well done, and whatever they're sitting on in the bayou looks exactly like that branch that they sell you when you buy a Banshee in Pandora, the little perch to put them on. It looks beautiful the way that's set together. But, you know, answer me this. Is this future concept art for the Tiana attraction, or is this a Thomas Kincaid? Like, what?
I was going to say, this better be part of the ride. Like, spoiler alert, I don't care if he's not alive. We need this scene. We need this scene in this ride.
I agree.
Come on.
I agree. That's the first thing that occurred to me, is that we need to see that. Like, there needs to be something where, I mean, there's this whole scene where they get led through the bayou by the fireflies, and it's so well done.
Yeah.
So, the other thing that I was looking at here real quick is this scene. So, at this point, Lawrence is trying to be Prince Naveen, but there is this talisman that is running out of Naveen's blood because Lawrence lit him out of his jar, which was not part of the plan, and now the Shadow Man has to track down Prince Naveen in frog form to get more blood from him before the talisman runs out so that the charade can go on. And so he goes back to his friends and asks them for one more favor. And this scene is so evil. Like, with all these evil horned spirits. This is a G-rated movie, too. Like, when we reviewed Tangled is PG. This is a G-rated movie. This is a little bit scary, isn't it?
It is. It's such a weird, like, it's such a hard G. Like they really pushed it. They honestly did. And I think maybe because we don't necessarily see them do anything evil, which is probably why they were able to go for G. I can't hear you, Rob.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was looking up
Oh,
some
okay.
artwork because we were, but I was going to say it's just so funny to hear you say hard G and going for G. It sounds weird. I don't know why. But I was looking up some artwork and found this, and this does have a scene with the firefly. So if this is actual concept art, which we believe it is from the Princess and the Frog attraction that we're going to
All
see,
right.
yeah, then we are going to see some of that. So, whew. Yeah,
Good thing.
we dodged a bullet there. Um, so um, so when we go through now, Facilier is trying to track down Naveen. They're on their way to see Mama Odie. During this, the shadows converge on Naveen, and we think that they're going to take him away. And all of a sudden, something comes, just blasts them out of the water, and then here comes Mama Odie. What a great
Yep.
character! What a great, fun character! And they're like, "Are you sure this is the right voodoo witch that lives in a boat in a tree?" Like, I love that line. You know, like Lewis is like, "Ah, are you sure this is the right one?" So she's blind and she has a snake that basically protects her, and I, it's just she is so funny. And then
Yeah.
she sings the whole dig a little deeper and does the whole like any like mystical like shaman is going to speak in riddles, whether it's Yoda or Mama Odie. They're never going to give it to you straight. And then
Right.
she says, "Well, we know what you want, but what you need." And it's like, wait, what? This woman, we just want to be human. And then I'm thinking human again. The song from Beauty and the Beast that
Beauty
was
and the Beast.
pulled from the movie but added to the play. You know, human again. Um, Ain't nobody's gonna sing with Ray. Okay. Um, so I don't know. I love Mama Odie as a character. I mean, this is a
Hmm.
fun moment for me in this movie. What does this one do for you?
No, yeah, this is one of those like uh friend like me moments, that it's just big. It's big, it's loud, it's very visual. I really, really love this scene. And uh oh, I forgot the actress's name. But the actress that does Mama Odie. Um Wonderful. What a great, like, she does such a good job like singing this song.
Yeah,
So good.
Jennifer Lewis.
Jennifer Lewis, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, again, I think of her as Dre's mom on Blackish.
On Blackish.
Yeah, and
Doesn't
but
she
she
do Mama what's her name? Oh man, from Proud Family? Isn't she the grandma?
don't know.
Hmm.
Yes, yes.
You guys let me know in the chat.
Um, so they figure out that the way to get her back to get them back to human is to have her kiss Lottie because Lottie's going to be a princess when her dad is the Mardi Gras king for the fifth year in a row.
Hmm.
And so when they go, they're like, now we have this plan. We're going to go catch up with her, and along the way now, they realize that Naveen realizes that he's in love with Tiana. He kind of fashions together a ring. He's going to propose to her. And meanwhile, there's a scene where Ray thinks that he's proposing to Evangeline, and no, that's my babe.
Yes.
So there was a moment there where like Evangeline is a star in the sky. He thinks it's a firefly. That's his love. He keeps singing about it, and Naveen wants to tell him, and then they're like, no, or Lewis or Naveen is like, oh no, that's a, and they're like, shut up. That reminded me of the whole scene with Olaf and like when he sings about summer, and Kristoff is
Summer,
like, I'm
yeah.
gonna tell him. So that's a neat little moment. Is there? But then there's some trouble where Tiana's like, "Oh, this is a place my dad and I had in mind," and Naveen's like, "You know what? I'm not going to stand in her way." And then he gets finally caught again, and then she sees what she thinks is Naveen on top of the float, and then she's upset and she leaves. But then Ray's like, "I'm not sure." He goes in, finds out that it's really like, that he's still in his frog form. The whole bit with Dr. Facilier. There's a chase. Poor Ray gets
Yeah.
stomped on. What a sad.
Yeah.
And again, because it's rated G, I guess they don't show it, but I mean, you kind of know what's happening. It's like
okay, so rewatching it today, there was a little crunch sound though.
Yep. I wasn't gonna say that, but yep, there's definitely a little bit of crunch.
Like, excuse me, Disney.
Yeah. Sleek Animation Wolf is saying, doesn't this film get ripped off with Arlo the alligator boy?
Arlo the alligator boy?
I don't know what that means. But
I don't know. The only Arlo that I know is the dinosaur. And our friend Arlo.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but they're adding you in the chat, so I assume that you would know that. I just figured I would throw that at you. So, but when this is happening and we're like, we've lost Ray. Ray's like become, again, sort of like the heart of this movie at this point. You know, very lovable Ray, and it's just kind of, it's on Netflix apparently, the show, the Arlo, the alligator boy. So we're going to have to do some homework. Check it out. We're going to have to do some homework.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah. What's Netflix? I only have Disney Plus. That's all I get in my house is Disney Plus. So when finally, you know, the DrFacilier meets up with Tiana, and he tricks her into like seeing her dream come true, and this is where he's like this trickster, the charlatan again. But then they end up breaking the talisman, which apparently he owed back to the spirits, and they just decide to take him. Again, very dark moment when, like, hey, I'm with a little kid in a theater watching this, and he's scraping, trying not to get sucked into death. Wow, that's a lot. So I guess Facilier and Ray won't be in the ride, I'm assuming.
The ride, which is so weird.
Well, and the funny part is, like, this movie didn't really get, you know, I mean, when it's finally done, they're going to have Lottie kiss Naveen, bring him back. Lottie's like, you know what? Again, in a very selfless act, Tiana, you found what I've always wanted. You don't have to, you know, I don't have to marry him. I want you guys to be happy. She tries to kiss him, and it doesn't work. And then they were like, you know what? I guess we're just going to stay frogs. And then there's that twist at the end where once she marries him, now she's a princess, and she kisses him, and that breaks the spell. Wow. That was such a cool ending. And then Mama Odie, oh, it's going to be good. Just so well done. And it's just such a feel-good movie. So, I mean, and then, you know, it's come up before about, and we talked about this on Park Center this past week. So if you haven't watched Park Center, please go back and watch that on WDWNT YouTube. But we talked about, like, trying to take IP that's not in the park and put it into the park. IP that is sorely missing in the park. We reviewed 101 Dalmatians, Desi and I, a couple weeks ago, and I was like, there's like 5 movies, and 2 TV shows. Why they don't have a dark ride in the park is beyond me. It's such a popular IP. But we know that there's supposed to be a Princess and the Frog IP coming to Splash Mountain, and here is, again, the original concept art that, like I was joking about the whole Thomas Kincaid thing. You know, here's Tiana in her blue dress from that scene and the logs, and you were just mentioning that you heard that in New Orleans there are no mountains.
Yep, that's all I know about New Orleans.
So when they make this, and the talk is they would do this to the one in Florida and the one in Disneyland. The one in Disneyland could be absorbed into New Orleans Square. It's right next to the Haunted Mansion. It would make sense that it would be kind of in New Orleans. There's a picture of Mama Odie's boat up in a tree, which we know is a thing that happens. So they would definitely have to do some rearranging, maybe cut a little off the top of that mountain so that it didn't look as mountainous. But I'm excited for this, but I really wish, and I've said this before, that they would have just tweaked Splash Mountain, but given Tiana a from the ground up brand new attraction. Yep. Like
100%.
I feel like that would have been a great thing to do. And then on top of that, there was a place that was going to be called Tiana's Place, or there was going to be Princess. It wasn't going to be called Tiana's Place. It was going to be a Princess and the Frog theme over at the hotel that they canceled, and Reflections. And but it was going to be like Princess and the Frog theme, but not Tiana's Place. There should be Tiana's Place.
Yeah. It's funny because I feel that's how I feel with Tiana, and that's how I feel with Ratatouille, like Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. It's like cool, I always wanted to ride a ride with Remy. No, I want to eat at Remy's restaurant. Like,
Right. Yeah.
that's what I want to do.
Yep. I want to have some ratatouille in Remy's place. Yes. Uh,
Yeah.
Rosita has said in chat, "Are you ready?" Yeah. I did. Man,
Yeah.
you just can't not think that. I mean, it's just the
Right?
music is so well done in this one. I love so many different things and aspects that came together with this movie. Is there anything else before we wrap here that you wanted to talk about that we haven't talked about?
No, we pretty much went down, the songs.
Going down
Um,
the bayou, going down.
that I like. It's not in the movie. It's like that. You know how every Disney movie has like a pop song. Uh, oh man, and now I'm talking about it and I actually don't know who sings it. I wanted to say Jason Derulo, but I'm not sure if Jason Derulo sings the song or
We
not.
always want to say Jason Derulo. That's always the answer to any question is Jason Derulo.
That's why I said it. I was like, I think it's Jason Derulo, but actually I don't think it is him. But the song that was in the credits, I actually personally really really like. I love that song. Such a good song. And it's not like featured in the movie. But it was honestly a really good song.
I'm looking at the credits and I mean the soundtrack and I see the 17 songs and I don't see one that is a pop version. Am I just missing it?
Maybe it's
Because
huh.
there's a lot of songs by Randy Newman. Um,
Uh-huh.
that I mean, he wrote the music, but there's a lot of songs just listed by listing Randy Newman in there. But no, I don't
Oh,
see
it's
that.
Neo. Never
Oh,
Knew I Needed.
okay. Did you just
Never Knew I Needed by Neo.
gotcha? Closer by
That
Neo.
song, really great.
Okay. All right. So aside from that, my friend, we're good. We're wrapped up. You're
I
solid.
think we're
You're
good.
okay. Then here's the moment. The second moment you've been waiting for. The first moment was trivia, and I know you were waiting on
It's
that one.
trivia. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the best part. And by the way, if you're watching again, thank you for watching. We appreciate you so, so much. Please give us a thumbs up if you liked it. Even if you didn't, that would be great because it makes Eric happy. And then if you can subscribe to Unplanned Downtime, we have a lot more content coming your way very soon. We had the Book of Boba Fett we did a review of last week with Nicholas Cicero on. Go check that out. So unplannedDowntime.com.
Ooh, with Nick.
Yeah, we appreciate you. So you ready?
Yeah,
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Eric Wolf, would
Yep,
you recommend this movie?
I will. I will recommend this movie. Um,
Woo!
I really like it, guys. It's such a cool thing, and like we talked about, it it's a 2D animated movie. So if you're nostalgic for 2D animation like I am, and by any chance you have not seen this movie, such a good movie. Animation, music, story, characters. Like this movie honestly has it all. And it's just such a beautiful movie. And guys, listen to the soundtrack as well, because there are some cool like Randy Newman like scores in this also that just are amazing. They honestly hit it out of the park with this movie. So yeah, it's on Disney Plus. That's why we're reviewing it. So get on there, watch Princess and the Frog, and go see Tiana at like the parks and stuff. Like I think it's so cool that we're able to see so many different things, and we're getting a ride. So it's gonna be fun. It's a fun time for sure.
Nice. So yeah, I agree with you. I mean, this one is one of my top 10 favorite Disney animated features of all time. And part of it's nostalgia because it meant so much to my daughter growing up. She had a Tiana doll. She just loved this movie to death, and the music is fantastic and very singable, and the quotes and the comedy and the heart. Whether it's the 2D animation that does it or not, I don't know. It makes me sad that they don't do 2D animation anymore, and I feel like it would be really kind of a cool like step to go in that direction again and do something 2D animation down the road. Because again, as much as I love the computer animated stories and the storytelling that they do with it and how amazing it's become, I think there's still something very very genuine about a hand-drawn animated movie. So hopefully they will return to that at some point. Maybe, I don't know. I hope it's not waiting for the 100th version of, or 100th Disney animated movie to do that. But I like and respect the fact that they never did a sequel to this, because I feel like it stands alone on its own. I didn't want to see a straight-to-video what happens next sort of a thing. I feel like they really did this movie right. And so the music, the voice acting, and just again the representation, as you talked about coming in early, Eric. It was a very special, important movie, 2009, and we've had some great movies come since then. So I think it kind of walked so movies like Encanto could run, honestly. So
Yeah.
I love this movie. I would definitely recommend it. There's not enough representation of it in the parks. If they do what they've promised and they make this, into the Splash Mountain attractions, into Tiana attractions, it will be a marquee attraction in both of these parks. And then, at that point, and I hope again they do it justice, and it's not just paintings and projection mapping. It's actual animatronics, and do for this attraction what it deserves. So let us know in the comments below what you thought of the movie. We definitely want to hear from you. Next week we will be back with another Deep in the Plus on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. 8 p.m. on Sunday is Park Center. 9 p.m. on Tuesday is Deep in the Plus, and we're going to be doing Free Guy, the Ryan Reynolds movie, next time. So Free Guy was a lot of fun to watch. I can't wait to review that and talk about it with you guys, because that's what we really appreciate, is being able to sit here and talk with each other about this, but talk with you guys about it and share this with you. So thank you for being friends of the show. We hope you guys will tell people about it and come back often. Thank you, Eric, for being on. As always, you're the best. I appreciate you.
No problem. Thank you.
We'll have to talk about Turning Red when that one comes out.
I'm excited.
I wish it was coming in theaters, but it is what it is,
I
right?
know.
All right, thanks a
But
lot.
I'm glad it's not, because then we can review it here on Deep in the Plus.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. Be safe out there. Have a good week, and we'll talk to you soon.